allow me to illustrate something. This here is our restaurant. We've been going to this restaurant for several years and we've all got the same slice of pie every single time and it's been delicious. The owners of the restaurant are generally well liked. They do some pretty shady shit with some of their other restaurants, but that doesn't really bother us because it doesn't affect this restaurant. However, now we're hearing that some shady shit might be coming down to this restaurant, so we keep our eyes and ears open for it. And almost as soon as we start hearing about these awful things that may be happening to our restaurant, I go in for my slice of pie that I always order every single time without fail, and the waiter comes out and gives me a plate of dog shit alongside the card reader and says, "Thank you for your order, you can pay now." And I am extremely confused and extremely irritated. The person just handed me a plate of shit and said, "This is my pie now." And not only that, they want me to accept this pie and pay for it right now before I've even fully taken a bite out of it. And my answer, of course, is, no, this is not my pie. This is not what I've been getting for years every single time I come in here. This is awful. Take this back and do not try and get me to pay for this and accept it as is right now either. And the waiter then goes, "Oh, okay, I'm so sorry. I'll take this back. This was only a test run anyways. It was just a draft. It's not like you were actually going to accept this anyways right out the gate." And then when they're halfway towards the kitchen, they also turn around and go, "Hey, by the way, you didn't win. You're only half right." And then they disappear into the kitchen. And we're all stuck sitting at the table going, "What the fuck was that?" And then after a little bit, the manager comes out with a brand new plate and an actual slice of pie. They come over, they go over to your table, they set the plate down, they go, "I'm so sorry for what happened to begin with. That was just a test run. We wanted to get your opinion on it first before we actually started changing our menus and serving it to everyone." Which seems real suspicious considering when you put the plate down in front of me, you also put the card reader right next to it at the same time. You wanted my signature and my acceptance before I'd even fucking taken a bite. So now after I and everybody else in the store saw this bullshit, you've now brought out an actual slice of pie and said, "This is our new and improved version of the pie. It is an actual draft. It's just a test run. Please take a bite of it. Let us know what you think." And initially, this looks pretty great. You know, it looks delicious. It's got some whipped topping, maybe a cherry, some sparkles on the edge. It looks pretty enticing. So I'm like, all right, sure, let's take a look inside. You cut it open and peel it, and it's the same shit inside. You took the plate that you put in the table in front of me and you squished it inside of a pie crust. So now you have three options, Mr. Manager, owner of this establishment. One, give me the same slice of pie that I've been requesting and eating for years with no complaints whatsoever, even praisement. Two, double down on this horrendous idea of yours and lose every single customer in this store. And regardless of which of these two you pick, you are already in the fucking dump, because while this whole thing happened between you and I, half of the people in this store witnessed this and went, "Nope, I'm out of here." And they've gone to the small little restaurants down the road that are very similar to yours, but they just do not have the profit that you do. But you know what they do have? Better fucking morals. And they're also not serving plates of shit to their customers suddenly out of the blue. That's where we are with the OGL right now. If you don't know what's going on and you need to catch up, I recommend checking out this video here where I will tell you everything that's happened up until this point. And I did state that at the end of that video, that would be my second last video on this whole OGL debacle. My last video would only be made once they actually released the OGL finally. Well, that was a lie, because way more things have happened since then that really need to be discussed. First things first, they've actually put out a proper draft of the OGL now. This version has the word draft in big bold letters across every page, and the best part is that there's a survey to go along with it, so you can actually, for the first time, voice your opinions in a direct survey about this. Now we'll get back to that survey in a moment, but I want to be very clear that it does exist and it is linked down below if you would like to fill it out, and I highly recommend you do. We're going to talk about the survey later, but the most important thing is that the first actual draft of this new open game license is now available. It is linked down below for you to take a look at. This open game license draft came with a personal message from an individual at Dungeons and Dragons now, instead of just the corporation itself, which I have to give praise where praise is due. Someone has actually decided to be the face of this ongoing dilemma, which means any heat that these OGL problems are going to cause now, a lot of them are going to be directed at this individual, because they very easily could have kept on making the announcements as from D&D or from D&D Beyond. This individual did not need to put themselves on the line for this ongoing dilemma, but they did. And I respect that. So in this post here titled Starting the OGL Playtest by Kyle Brink, they go over quite a fair bit of things. There are some good things, and we're going to go over those first before we go into the bad, because there's a lot of bad. Again, the full post is linked down below if you'd like to go through it for yourself, which I highly recommend you do, but what I'm focusing on right now are the key points. First off, in this new draft of the OGL, which is now called 1.2, they state that there is no royalty payment, no financial reporting, no license back, no registration, no distinction between commercial and non-commercial. And this is good. The fact that there's now no royalty payment and no financial reporting is amazing, including the no license back, no registration, and no distinction between commercial and non-commercial. These are very good things. This is the outside crust and whipped topping and cherry of this new slice of pie I was talking about. They also state here that only 2 sections can be changed once OGL 1.2 is live: how you cite wizards in your work and how we contact each other. We don't know what the future holds or what technologies we'll use to communicate with each other, so we thought these 2 sections needed to be future-proofed. Which, you know what? I fully understand that, and I think that's fair. And that's about where my praise ends. Now let's get to the shit that's still inside. First things first, and one of the biggest problems is that they are still deauthorizing OGL 1.0a. We know this is a big concern. The Creative Commons license and the open terms of 1.2 are intent to help with that. One key reason why we have to deauthorize: we can't use the protective options in 1.2 if someone could just choose to publish harmful, discriminatory, or illegal content under 1.0a. And again, any content you have already published under OGL 1.0a will always be licensed under OGL 1.0a. They seem to be really scared of people making this harmful, discriminatory, or illegal content under the open game license as it is right now. But this license has existed for fucking years, and I don't think there has ever been a problem with people publishing discriminatory, harmful, or illegal content under it. If there ever has been, I would fucking love to know, but I honest to God don't think there ever has been. And their whole point about we can't use 1.2 if people can just use 1.0, well, maybe that's because 1.0 is a better open game license. If you don't want people to use 1.0, don't say it's because they could use it for discriminatory, illegal, harmful, whatever the fuck you want. Just say that we don't want them using this because we want more control with this. Because wizards know that people will not use this unless it is better than this, or unless they can abolish this. Because wizards knows that if people have the choice between their new OGL and the one that everybody has loved for years, they'll use the one that everyone is well accustomed to and have loved and used without problem for years. The only possible way you get them to switch from this license is if the new one is better in every regard, or you get rid of it. And clearly, they have no possible way of making it better than the old one, because if they did, they would have just done so. But here we are, with 2 draft versions of this new open game license, and we still have problems with it. Because for some unknown, godforsaken reason, wizards cannot get it around their minds on how to make a good update to the OGL. And if you can't do that, then don't fucking make one. Take your lumps and go home. Leave the OGL 1.0a as it is. Stop trying to change the perfectly good pie on your menu. Everyone loves that pie. Everyone comes to this restaurant for this pie. We have never ever had a fucking problem with this pie. You know who does? You. Only you. The fact that you want to fuck over your customers like this is fucking baffling to me. Can you fucking imagine being like that? Coming out to all your customers and saying, what do you love the most about our menu? And they all say, we love the fucking pie. And you went, that's fantastic. We're gonna change it. What? So now let's get into the real bullshit that's still inside this pie crust. And it has to do with these 2 words: perpetual and irrevocable. Perpetual, of course, meaning that it never ends and it never changes. And irrevocable meaning you cannot take it away. It cannot be returned. They cannot revoke this decision. It is irrevocable. These are probably the 2 most important words for all this OGL bullshit. Because when all these rumors were starting about a new open game license, a lot of people in my comments, especially on the first video I did about this, stated that they could never get rid of the OGL 1.0a. It was a perpetual, irrevocable license. Once given, they could never take it back. But of course, Wizards has sneaky smoke and mirrors methods to get around that. And that's what this third word we're introducing into all of this: authorized. Because as you may or may not know, with all this OGL dilemma, they came out and stated that only authorized versions of the OGL will be allowed now, and the OGL 1.0a does not have the term authorized, so therefore it is unauthorized and can no longer be used. That is how they are attempting to get around this, and a lot of people are very upset at that, understandably. So if we have to go with this new OGL, if we have to have it in this system and we have to just abide by it, that is what it is, then it has to be at least perpetual and irrevocable. And initially, Kyle Brink says that OGL 1.2 will provide you a perpetual, irrevocable license to do so. And in this statement from Kyle Brink, he does say, if you want to use quintessential D&D content from the SRD, such as Owlbears and Magic Missile, OGL 1.2 will provide you a perpetual, irrevocable license to do so. And continuing on from that, he says that let's talk about the OGL 1.2 and the important ways it's different from 1.0a. First, it allows us to address hateful content. Second, it only applies to published tabletop role-playing game content, including on virtual tabletops. Third, and this is a very important line, this license specifically includes the word irrevocable. And at first glance, that sounds great. That sounds fantastic. But this is typical WotC smoke and mirrors. Because I want you to pay attention to this wording. This license specifically includes the word irrevocable. That means fuck all. Because as you'll see here on page 3 of the new 1.2 OGL under section 2 license, it states this license is perpetual, meaning that it has no set end date. That's good. Non-exclusive, meaning that we may offer others a license to our licensed content or unlicensed content under any conditions we choose. And irrevocable, meaning that content licensed under this license can never be withdrawn from the license. That is not what we're fucking asking for, Wizards. So in case you've missed what they're saying here, the OGL license, at least this draft version, is not irrevocable. Your content made with the OGL is irrevocable. So they can still revoke this license if this was the version that went to print. So congratulations, Wizards. You used the word irrevocable, but you did not use it in the way that you know we would like you to. It's no different than if you came into a workplace and I told you up front, hey, the rules for this workplace include the word fuck. Initially, you'd be like, holy shit, what kind of a workplace are you running here? And then I handed you the rules for the workplace and you went through it and you found that one of the rules says, do not fuck in the workplace. You'd then go, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. This situation is that in reverse. This OGL includes the word irrevocable. Congratulations, it also includes the word the. Do you want a pat on the back for that too? We do not want you to include the word irrevocable in your license, fucko. We want you to make the license irrevocable. And of course you know that, but you'd rather play this bullshit game of smoke and daggers in this house of mirrors where we have no idea when the fuck we're getting out of this, and if we're gonna get out of this, okay. But when this all does end, and we come out of this fucking bullshit restaurant, rest assured, your name is tainted forever. And I know your corporate heads do not give a shit about this, but you really should. Your trust is gone. A lot of your player base has abandoned you. And not only did they abandon you, but they've also went to other competitors who are making better licenses than you in faster times than you. And I have to believe that at some point in time, all this bullshit whirlwind that's coming your way is going to hit your shareholders' ears. And when it does, they are going to pull out so fast, it will have your head spinning. And I don't know how you're not scared of that. I don't understand how you can continue to push this type of bullshit on us and make it seem like it's all okay. All of this to try and hide behind this bullshit notion that you're attempting to make it so that you can protect yourself against hateful and illegal content published under the original OGL, which never fucking happened. Now again, an important note to make here is that there is a survey link to go along with this new 1.2 OGL. It's linked down below. I suggest reading through the 1.2 document before you fill out the survey, but I need to make a very important point about this survey. A lot of it is multiple choice, meaning you cannot give direct answers on a lot of the questions. And I highly recommend if you're going to fill out this survey, you do not just fill out the survey. You also keep the pressure on Twitter. Because if WotC controls the feedback that they receive, then they can limit what they listen to. Shareholders are not going to give a shit about what we are saying on D&D surveys, because D&D surveys do not get reported to the mass market. They get reported to the people who are reading them at WotC. But public outrage gets reported. Public outrage is loud and can be heard across the globe. So do not think that just because you filled out the survey that your message has been heard. It likely will be heard by one person who may or may not fully put it in to the rest of the system. That is how all of this started to begin with. It's how we got to where we are. If nobody said anything, if all of the third-party people signed the new OGL initially and we just went along with it, we'd be in a way fucking worse state now than we are. And for that, I am grateful. For that, I am absolutely very happy about. But we've still got a really long way to go. The most important part that I want WotC to do, or at least make right, is to not deauthorize OGL 1.0a. And at the end of the day, regardless of what anyone says, or no matter what lawyers get involved, if WotC is going to abolish the 1.0a, then the new version better be just as good, if not better. Because if it's not, holy shit, you think we're angry now? You just fucking wait. On top of that, the new version itself must be irrevocable. Not the content made underneath it. That's great, that's fine and all, but the actual license itself must be both perpetual and irrevocable. It is not good enough to contain the fucking words, wizards. You know that, and I know that. You are communicating with people who comb over every fucking detail. You really think we're going to miss this type of sneaky bullshit? The trust that you had with us as a community is gone. That is never coming back. That has completely been abolished and ruined. Your best course of action right now is to stop all of this and keep the original OGL in place, or make the new one just as good, if not better. I don't need to work at WotC to know what the survey results are saying. So when you give us the new draft of this OGL, I hope to fucking high hell and back it is better than this version. You want to prove that your employees read these surveys and actually take the results into question? Prove it. I'll be waiting with a fine-tooth comb, and you better believe I'm going to go through every fucking word of that document.